Hello, I'm Sarah Swenson, licensed mental health counselor. This is an introduction to what you can expect in my course entitled Maybe My Partner is Autistic. Remember that none of this material is intended to be diagnostic. I designed the course to help you sort out your thoughts if you're struggling to make sense of challenges you face in your relationship and are wondering whether autism might elucidate them. It is a challenge. There's so many things on your mind. If you have questions, observations, or concerns that lead you to wonder whether your partner may be autistic, we're going to go through some of what your concerns might be to see if I can help you find a new perspective. First of all, though, let's clarify our language. Autism spectrum disorder is the current American diagnosis for autism. Asperger's syndrome was rolled into autism spectrum disorder in the DSM-5 in the United States in 2013. In the United Kingdom, the diagnosis is autism spectrum condition, a term I actually prefer. Autism, broadly, including what used to be called Asperger's syndrome, is the result of structural differences in the brain when compared to the brains of individuals that we call neurotypical. The effects of these differences are experienced and manifested in three broad areas. The first has to do with social interactions, the second with communication, and the third with notable intense focuses that are commonly referred to as special interests. Now I'd like to tell you what autism is not. It's not mental illness, it's not a personality disorder, and it's not a choice. You've likely found information on the internet that confuses all three of these points and leaves you feeling confused too. So, what do I mean by mental illness? In the broadest sense, it means this. Mental illness describes a departure from normal when viewed in terms of what we consider to be the baseline for well-adapted human behavior. Mental illness is first and foremost a condition that causes distress for the affected individual. Some examples of mental illness are depression, in which a person experiences diminished engagement and enjoyment in life, anxiety, which challenges cause discomfort and distress, and schizophrenia, in which the world is experienced in distortions of what is real and what is delusional. These are mental illness because they make life difficult and challenging for the individual. Some mental illnesses respond to medication, which can reduce symptoms and make room for effective talk therapy. Again, the key to this is that mental illness causes distress to the person who's affected by it. And what is a personality disorder? Well, first of all, what is a personality? Take a minute to think about this. You'll likely find it's a little more complicated than we generally acknowledge until we really start to think about it. The concept of personality relies on an agreed upon baseline for normal and how departures from normal are understood. A personality simply can be understood as a person's characteristic ways of thinking, of behaving, and of feeling. Personality is a way to distinguish one person from another at a very basic level. So if there's generally acceptable range of characteristic personalities in a society, then it's safe to conclude there are also some which fall outside the range of what is acceptable or normal. And those are the areas explored when discussing personality disorders. The key feature of a personality disorder is that it is maladaptive and it can lead to personal distress socially, at work, and at school. These aspects of a person are generally stable over a lifetime and not momentarily reactive or substance abuse induced. And for a person to meet the criteria for a full personality disorder is rare. But many people exhibit certain traits that are included in the disorder. Still, to have the traits is not the same as having the disorder. The question that comes up often for women who wonder whether their partner is autistic is whether he's narcissistic. They view his behavior as selfish and they don't feel heard or respected in the relationship. Or maybe they wonder whether he's obsessive compulsive because he always has to have things done a certain way, or it's his way or the highway. Or maybe he seems to have little impulse control and he shares her secrets with others in a way that disregards her feelings on the matter. Does he have borderline personality disorder? Interestingly, all of these observations can be understood in terms of autism instead. The challenge is this: the behaviors appear to be narcissistic, for example, but the reason for the behavior is not selfishness, nor is there an intent to manipulate. It appears narcissistic because an autistic person experiences the world in relation to his own experience and is challenged at understanding it from the point of view of someone else. This relates to what we call theory of mind. And as a result of this, his partner is likely to feel left out and even ignored. The autistic way of being in the world is very different from the neurotypical or non autistic. The course called Sorting It Out, the Neurotypical and Autistic Worlds, goes into greater detail about these differences and offers skills and strategies for communication with your partner. In this course, though, we're going to be looking at how his behavior is different from yours and see if you can sort it out, either in terms of autism or something else. As a reminder, autism is the result of differences in the physical structure of the brain when compared to the brain of what we call a neurotypical person. Broadly speaking, autism affects the way a person experiences the world and the way he responds to it. And there are varying degrees of autism, which is therefore considered to occur on a spectrum. And that's what people mean when they say on the spectrum. Autistic individuals display a full range of behaviors and traits. For our purposes here, we're talking about individuals who are capable of entering into relationships and doing well professionally and creating personas that are often to their credit, but often also to their great detriment because they mask the degree of difficulty that they face in everyday life. Again, autism is not a choice, and it's not something a person outgrows. And remember, first and foremost, that if you've met one person with autism, you've met one person with autism. Because autism is a part of who a person is. But in addition, there's personality, temperament, preferences, education, intelligence, socioeconomic status, family of origin, skills, interests, all these things combine to make a person who he is. If you can see your partner in the topics we'll be exploring in this course, it'll help you decide whether to approach him about considering the possibility. Remember, we're not diagnosing here. This course is designed to provide you with a way to think about the possibility that your partner might be autistic so that you can then move forward with him with your own thoughts and feelings. Sometimes this is a significant turning point in a relationship. An autistic person who feels fully supported by his partner can embrace learning about the differences between being autistic and being neurotypical, just as you can, with a shared goal of enhancing the intimacy between you as you get to know each other in new ways and create more effective means of communication. We'll talk more about this toward the end of the course, and I'll offer you some suggestions for what you might do after you've been considering all the information here, as it may or may not apply to your partner. As you go through this course, I'll ask you to keep in mind the following questions. Does he intend to hurt me? Does he intend to ignore me? Does he understand why what he's saying or doing hurts me? Also, is he forgetting on purpose, or does he actually not remember things that seem so obvious to me? Is he lying to me, or is his understanding of what is true different from mine? Have I ever experienced these feelings in another relationship? Am I doing more compromising and carrying more weight in the relationship than I anticipated? I'll ask you to make some notes as we go so that you can come back to any points that seem particularly important to you and explore them in your journal. Once you're grounded in some of the contours of autism in the world, we're going to move on to a series of questions. And as we go through them, I'll ask you to think about how they apply to you and what it feels like to acknowledge any realizations that arise for you. I'll also offer you context for each question with a goal of helping you understand why an autistic partner might do or say things that confuse or hurt you. My goal here is to help you understand that the differences between being neurotypical and being autistic are real, and that the key to understanding these differences is to remember that in this matter, intention is significant. If your partner is autistic, you're going to have to create a new way of understanding him and of responding to him that accounts for these differences. If you love him, it'll be worth any effort you make to identify the differences and to learn ways to accommodate them and to help him bridge them as well. You'll also learn a great deal about yourself and the neurotypical experience as we go step by step through the questions and you explore your responses. By taking this course, you may also learn that you can rule autism out and begin to consider other explanations for challenges you face in your relationship. My overarching goal with this course is to help you consider various aspects of your relationship to see whether they may align with neurodiversity. My hope for you is that you no longer feel alone in your questions as we go through this material together, and that you gather some tools for meaningful conversations with your partner. I will be with you every step of the way, and I am holding you in my heart as we navigate this course together.